Hey everybody, welcome to a conversation on First Kings. We're week 11, looking at First Kings 20 through 22. Continuing with the theme, hope and failure.
The last.
Is it all fixed yet?
It's the end of First
So
Kings.
much better.
This is the last one.
It's the last one of First Kings.
And then Second Kings.
2 Kings coming up.
2 Kings.
Oh man.
11 Kings. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad somebody
got that.
First Kings.
Was that a band reference?
No, a politician said
Yeah.
11 Corinthians.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
pretty dumb. It's like 2 Corinthians and 11 Corinthians.
Yeah, that's next level of biblically literate.
That's very good.
Very funny.
On this, well, I guess it goes tied to that. Was there anything in your life that taught you that you had to be or do something in order to have relationship or get things from God or get the favor of God? Like today, what Second King, or excuse me, 2 Kings, no, 1 Kings ends with.
First Kings.
Yeah, First Kings ends with is Ahab, the worst of the worst, still receiving the care on the receiving end of God being him, having his character. And so, which stands out, the thing that stands out to me is I've thought, what taught me that I have to, pray? What does pray earnestly or intensely or hard mean? Or what does it mean to be? Why does it in me that I have to be good enough or all those things? Like, those things, is that just inherent or was that taught?
I think it's a little of both. Like when I think about even like talking about fasting, like I feel like I hear a lot of the times people talk about fasting as a way to get what you want faster. And
Pun intended.
but I think there are lots of moments in the Bible where they talk about fasting and it being part. Like when I think of Esther, not lots of moments, but I was thinking about Esther, and when she goes to fast, like part of the reason she talks about fasting is so God will hear her.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are some moments where it feels a little confusing because you do have to, like, I think I don't know, like, it does feel like sometimes you have to check some boxes.
And I think, for me, fasting is a good example. It's the change that it does in me, and maybe the change in me would have impact on how God relates with me, I guess. But I don't know, it just is, it's, I think about prayer is that, cognitively, I would say, I kind of get that. I don't need to be telling God what's going on. I think my faith says that he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And, but yet, it has some impact.
I mean, I think there are moments in the Old Testament where it says, like, God says, I'm going to do one thing, and then people pray. Like Abraham, he was going to destroy a whole city. God was going to destroy a whole city, and then Abraham, pleaded, if there's just one righteous, will you not?
Yeah.
And he went back and looked and thought about it, and I don't know, like, so I think I feel some, I don't know if confusion is, but there's some tension in there. Like, there's some obedience I think God calls us to.
Yeah.
And I think that when we're obedient, things change.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's hard to ask that question in relationship with God because it feels like either you're not doing enough or maybe what you're doing doesn't matter. Like, it leads to all these conclusions that, when pushed to the extreme, makes it really hard to have, maybe even be honest and have a conversation about it. But I think it helps if you view those same questions within the context of any other relationship in your life. Like, think about with your wife. Like, do you do things for her simply because you are hoping to get something, get a response? Maybe sometimes. Do you do things for her because you care about her and you just want her to know that? Yeah, sometimes. It's not as linear necessarily. And I think in relationship with God, I think God's not a vending machine. We're not going to do things, you get things. But I do think to some degree, you can do things to show worship. You can do things because you're desperate and you don't know what else to do. So there's a lot of responses. I don't think any of them are necessarily all good and all wrong all the time.
Yeah, I like that because I think we can really think transactional in relationships in general. And I think as humanity plays out, like unconditional love is complicated. And even when I think of my husband, like I feel like I love him all the time, but am I always acting?
That's pretty strong words, even.
I mean, it's true. I was trying to be generous, I think. But like, that doesn't
I'm
mean.
honest, I would maybe say the opposite of like, I probably don't feel it all the time.
Yeah.
But I always want to act.
Yeah, and I want to act like it, but I think if I'm not feeling, that takes extra. That feels extra. Like I have to take the extra step to
Yeah,
make sure to choose to act lovingly when I'm not feeling here anymore. Because I am. Anyways, I was distracted. They're pointing at something. But like, yeah. So unconditional love is complicated, and I think in this story we see God show unconditional love in a moment when, like, when you look at Ahab and all of his actions and transgressions and all the things, like God forgiving him, I just want, of course he's going to do it.
Yeah. So you walk into these chapters, 2021 specifically, is that Ahab is award-winning, meaning he's the worst.
He's the worst.
It's been it's declared in 16 and in 21 that in the spiral of from if David was this great warrior and Solomon was this incredible wise and the temple builder of the temple, now Ahab is
He's
the bottom of everything is broken. And as we pick it up in 20, Ben-Hadad, the king of Aram, like does a threat to Ahab and says, "Hey, I'm going to take your best stuff and your best wives and children."
And he said,
And then Ahab to just be,
sure.
he goes, "Okay, whatever. You're definitely stronger than us. Take it."
Yeah.
Which that'll get you on Maury Povich. But then Ben-Hadad says, no, I changed my mind. I want everything of value in the whole.
And I'm going to send, instead of you sending it to me, I'm going to send messengers into the city to take it.
Take it all. And so Ahab decides this is fighting words, and Ben-Hadad gives his threat. Ahab says, "Well, it's easy to talk big before battle, but it's better to talk big when you're taking your armor off." Like that. That's a good quote of it. Not a great quote of it. And so they go into this fight, and they're Ahab and their army for sure is going to lose, but they won. The declaration was, the prophet comes in verse 13 and says, "This is what the Lord says. Do you see their vast army? Sure. But today I will hand them over to you so that you will know that the Lord is God."
Yeah.
And the thing that did we forget that Ahab was the worst?
I know.
Why would you?
It was for David and it was for the people and all of the, even though, like, because Ahab's married to Jezebel, and this is a moment when, like,
Which, by the way, wouldn't Jezebel, wouldn't she be mad at this point? Because didn't you just sell us off?
Yeah.
Me off?
Yeah, because she's one of the best wives, right?
Maybe she wasn't.
Maybe she wasn't. Not Ben-Hadad was like, no. But I don't even know what we were saying. They were worshiping other gods. They weren't worshiping Yahweh. They were worshiping Baal and other gods. And so
the prophet to say, God is saying that you're going to have this unremarkable victory so that you'll know that I'm God. And again, that is God in his character. I think, and again, in me, some things that can be taught in me is that in order to have that kind of victory, in order to get that type of favor or that faith-building type of moment, you better deserve it. Ahab didn't deserve it.
no.
So the story continues on. Ben-Hadad was there doing their evaluation forms after the battle. They said to the king there, they said, the reason we lost is because their God, Ahab's God, is the God of the hills, and what we'll do is we'll attack them on the plains because their God is not the God of the plains. We'll win then. And so again, they draw the battle lines. There's the threats. Again, this strong words, and it's one humongous army, huge, and then the other is like two small flocks of goats.
I love that.
It's such a good picture to draw. And again, the prophet says, because they don't think that I am God. This is God talking. They don't think I'm the God of the valley. You're going to win. Again, so my math says Ahab is not great. He's won the award of the worst. And so it doesn't matter what battle he's going to lose. God's not going to protect him, but God is character. He protects him. They have this incredible victory again. We turn to page chapter 21, and it's such a weird. It's such a weird. So after these victories, the next stories, you turn the pages. It's Ahab whining.
Ahab is whining a lot. Let's just commit to he's a whiny man. It's pretty impressive. What? Most men are.
Yeah. He actually makes a logical proposal to a neighbor and says, "Can I have your vineyard? I'll pay you. I'll give you some money.
Yeah.
I'll pay you more than it's worth because it's next door. It makes sense for me to have it.
I'll give you a better vineyard.
It's an easement issue,
and because he's whiny. Am I right?
Vineyard.
No.
It wasn't even that good of a vineyard, but his wine was great. And so Jezebel, Ahab's moping around as king, and Jezebel says, "Why are you so sullen?"
He's so sad.
And
He comes back
tells the
inside and he
story.
didn't get his vineyard. It's so terrible.
And so Jezebel says, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." She writes a note in Ahab's pen or with his voice, and has this vineyard owner
Has
killed.
a seal and
And now, all of a sudden, this is just another great moment again. God being God, Elijah appears again, where he's been.
as he always does.
It's like
He
there's
just shows up.
elf on the shelf, and then there's also prophet.
Prophet
Where?
Prophet
on the
on
shelf.
I don't know. I was trying to think of something, but I
Stop it.
There you go.
Prophet on something. There you go.
Sitting on the roof. But he shows up and he goes, "Listen, this is like the declaration to David after he had Bathsheba's husband put to death." Like the prophet shows up and goes, "What you did is terrible. You're gonna die." And then this again, God being God, we could even stick in. There's a bunch of different narratives back to David's narrative in this moment. Ahab. All of a sudden, he puts on sackcloth. He's repentant, and so now the thing is that again, if I have Ahab, you're the worst, and you just had somebody
And
killed,
he's a whiny man.
whiny,
And all
so
of a sudden, he's upset he's going to die. Like, I do not have the same reaction that God does in this moment.
yeah, and so now verses 20 and 29, Elijah again. It's like this conversation between Elijah and God. God says, "Hey, have you noticed that Ahab is quite humble right now?" And I feel like,
I want to be like God. Are you kidding
have
me?
you noticed? Who cares?
Have you pulling the wool over your eyes? Like, I feel like this is one of those, when we always talk about mom goggles, and I'm like, God has God goggles here. Are you kidding me? Look at Ahab. He is awful, and he's whiny, and he's a little narcissistic. Scott and I had a debate of whether he was narcissistic or innocent, like an innocent child, because he's so whiny.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know, but he's all these things, and then God is going to forgive him.
Yeah.
See how he humbles himself.
And so in all of this, God is, and I feel like for me, I can go, God, you're a provider. I have faith that you're that. But the problem with you being the provider is me. I'm sorry that I prevent you from providing. Or God, you're gracious. And the problem is, God, sure you're gracious, but the problem is me, and you can't be gracious to me. And I feel like this is, I feel like I'll share it on Sundays. Like maybe it's just a me thing, but I feel like Titus, the words of Paul and Titus, is that God saved us, not because of our righteousness or anything that we've done. It's because of it's his character is that he's mercy.
He does it so quickly too. Like
Yep.
when we were reading through this, I always feel like when I've been like had moments where I'm far from God or not being the good Christian that I should be, like in my head I think, oh, it's gonna take a couple weeks before I can connect with God again. Like I'll try for a while and like maybe it's gonna take some time. But here, like he has done all these terrible things and he humbles himself and like just in that moment, God is so quick to say, look at how he's humbled himself. You're gonna change the story here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of mind
It
boggling.
provides a different backdrop because, same thing with you, mess up and go, oh man, God must really not like me right now. And he's waiting for that moment to say, I'm sorry, he's right back.
Yeah.
He just, that's his default is love and mercy and grace. And he's quick to give it, which is something which is, I've always I always grew up thinking, I better hide now.
Yeah.
Even all the way back to the garden, they sin. God's looking for him, and he's looking to restore a relationship.
Yeah.
But that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Restore relationship. That's really good.
And I think that the tension to feel in that, the thing that is restore relationship is, and this is a me thing. I don't feel like God is going, you messed something up. No. His character is that I love you. There's mercy. There's grace for you. The story of Ahab here is that it wasn't a moment of waiting for Ahab to get his stuff together.
No.
Now, what you do matters. It does in relationship with others and with God. What you do does matter, but in the midst of this, God's character is unwavering.
Yeah.
And I feel like, to people that are in my world, people that, neighbors or friends or connections or whatever that don't necessarily have a theology that says that God cares,
Right.
or would say that has a theology that says that God might care if I change everything about myself.
Yeah.
And here's a moment that it's like, again, it's a story turned to 11 to give us this illustration, this picture that God is constant even when you're the worst.
Yeah. He's quick to restore.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It's a really like simple but beautiful way to put it, because I think that we're quick to keep pushing away, keep moving away. I mean, the Old Testament, we talked about this, it's the spiral away all the time. And God is so quick to restore over and over again. And
People say, I think it's easy to think that, the God of the Old Testament is so wrathful.
Yeah.
And then, again, I think that actually God, his character of grace is all over.
Yeah.
In the story of Kings, we've talked about hope amidst failure. Hope is not because of the situation. Hope isn't because of the great king or great leadership or people having their things pulled together. The story of First Kings, that there's hope, is because God is constant as character, even in the midst of humanity's failure.
I like it. Rich.
This is a great follow-up to last week's message on trust. I think just a continuation of God's character continuing to be trustworthy and us being able to see it. I think the mom goggles thing that you said, like, for in right, like it's the idea of you have an altered perception because you're mom, right? I mean, that's like, I think that I don't think God has God goggles. I think we have human goggles, because God's view is what is there, is true, and then we see it as, well, that's not fair. Like, I'm gonna put human goggles on. Maybe that's what the garden looked like. Is there some human goggles hanging there, and Adam and Eve just pop them on? And they're like, oh, I'm naked. I don't know, but I think just the fact of looking at God's trustworthiness through the fact and the idea that he sees so that he sees Ahab and goes, "Oh, this guy's actually humbling himself because he did this thing." And if we can do that more, I think the world will be a better place. So that's a good message for us to take.
See you guys next week.
Bye.